What's good? Today I'm going to show you 10 ways to level up your music production. These methods will range from beginner to intermediate, even some advanced methods that I've started using just this week that have helped me level up my music production a lot. Now why should you trust me, a random 19-year-old music producer kid on the internet? Well, I've been making beats for around 5 years now, I think, and have produced a decent amount of songs. I don't have that holy Drake placement yet, but I think I have a good grasp of the techniques that have helped me level up my own music production. So let's get into it. So first, I have learning the basics of music theory.
Boring!
I think this is the foundation of all music, learning chords, rhythm, BPM, and just how to speak the language of music. You hear a lot of people say music theory isn't needed, you don't need to know it, and that can be true in some, right? But I think it's a thing that helps to learn. Say you're a producer, right? Making some beats, you're with like, say a pop artist, and she's singing boop 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 boop. I don't know what that was. But she's singing, and you're like, I wonder what she's singing. You play around on the piano, and you find a note. Bow. You're like, oh, that's a cool note, but I don't even know the name of it. You can hear the melody she's playing. You figure that out on the piano, but then you're like, I don't even know the scale. So it takes a lot longer to make the chords. You want to get a bass player for this song. Boom, 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 boom. You can easily tell the bass player, hey, this thing's in E major or whatever. It's just the language of music, and it helps you communicate with other musicians a lot more. The second tip that I have ties in a lot to that. It's learning piano. If we go into FL Studio, there's a piano roll. I don't want to say every because there's probably a DAW that is guitar based or something. I don't know. Almost every music production software uses a piano roll, and all MIDI keyboards and everything is just based off of piano. It's a good thing to learn how to play all the notes in the C major scale, and if you take piano lessons, you'll end up also learning music theory. Now, where did I learn my music theory and piano lessons? I went to a school in elementary school, and they taught me a good amount of music theory there. People are always like, oh, I only learned a recorder in music class. But I think I learned a really good amount of music theory in elementary school and middle school. And then I was just immersed in music throughout my whole life. Both my parents are musicians, guitar players, and singers. So that also helped me, but I was raised in music. Music theory isn't that hard. I'm thinking of doing a music theory course somewhere in the future to try to teach the basics and make it specified for music producers, because I hear a lot of music producers say, hey, I make beats, but I don't know any music theory, but I want to learn it, and it's too complicated for me. So hopefully that can help. Okay, the next thing I have is making your own songs. In the last video, I posted how I made a viral TikTok song. I mentioned this a little bit, but making your own songs can extremely help. This summer, I went on like kind of a training arc and made like a bunch of my own songs because like, why not? I'm bored this summer. But it also just helped me with my music production. I learned a lot of different techniques that can be utilized to make beats, not just for the sake of making beats, but for the sake of them being songs. If you want to sell beats to other artists and rappers and have people actually be on your beats, that's a very useful skill to know. I make most of my beats in the comfort of my own house without anybody around me, right? And it can be hard getting in touch with other artists. Even if you do and then you record some stuff, they're probably gonna hire a mixing engineer because you don't know how to do any of that yourself. But if you start making some songs for yourself, you can build up a repertoire, and maybe you might even figure out you're pretty good at making music. Who knows? It also helps you with your mixing and just making a beat around vocals more and making it a full length project instead of just a beat. Next we have, this also ties into the last one, working with artists, right? This is another way. If you don't want to make your own songs, find some artists to work with. You probably have friends. In my Discord server, there are mostly producers, but there are also some rappers that you can get in contact with. You just have to make some cool stuff. If you want, I'll even spit some bars on your beat. That's gonna be a Patreon tier. Patreon tier, I'll spit some bars on your beats. I'll put in the $5 tiers. Okay, so the next one is kind of more of a technical aspect. I recently made this beat. It's like an R&B beat. This is what it sounds like. You're probably wondering, oh, Selah, how'd you do that? This doesn't look like a very different pattern. It looks like the same thing. Well, that brings us to our next tip. Automation. This, I think, is the one drastic thing that has improved my music production in the year of 2022. And I'm going to continue using it in 2023. So you see this beat. It's a pretty cool beat, right? But if we scroll down, bow, we almost have as much automation as we have like instrument stuff. Like we have 2 less automation tracks than there are actual instruments. And automation just helps your beat develop more. It helps it just, right here, I have a gross beat automation that adds a kind of glitch thing for the drop. We turn on the gross beat mute solo, right? So as you can see, it's muted. And then I'm not even touching it, right? You can do this by right clicking on that, create automation clip, and then the automation clip will look like this. Above 50% is on, below 50% is off. We then have a bunch of these. This towel filter, this is kind of like a sidechain effect. And that's what's giving everything the pumping effect. I do have a melody bus, and I did put it on there before and tried to automate it. It just didn't sound as good. That's why I have it on each of these individually. And then here we just have, I even have some volume automation. This analog lab, if we turn off the automation, right? It kind of bleeds there, right? I don't like that. So I made this volume automation, and then it also cuts off with the snare, right? This just gives it more balance. Little stuff like that, like you would even notice that. If you want to automate external presets, there's a very simple way to do this. You can even do this with stock FL Studio presets. Say I have this Mike Dean bass, right, from Analog Lab, and I want to automate this filter cutoff. If we hear the bass, kind of like that buzzing sound, and I want it to happen for the drop. But how can I do that? If I right click on it, nothing happens. It doesn't even show automation clip like before. What do I do? Wiggle it a little bit. Pow, pow, pow. You don't have to wiggle it that much. You just have to move it. Right click here where it says multi-link to controllers. You can see it up here. This is the hint panel. Multi-link to controllers. Right click, create automation clip. And it creates an automation clip on the last thing you move. This tool is very helpful. I want before this drop it to do that hissing thing, right? And then we'll make it go back down. And little subtle things like that add to your production a lot. Now, this also ties into our 6th point, I think. I don't know where we are. This also ties into our 18th point, arrangement, right? This just helps, right? Automation helps with the arrangement, but also how you putting stuff, right? So I have the intro, just sub bass and Podolsky, putting a little riser or something. For the first few bars of, this is a verse, right? This is the slower part. We just have kicks and the snares. And for the melodies, we have just 2 parts. We have this pigment is muted. We have it exported here. We bring in something halfway here and we add the open hi-hats and we add a snare layer, right? And then halfway through this part, we bring in these lower hi-hats just for a little bit. Right? That just hints to the chorus that's coming up. And then little drops like this, we can even just add a riser here if we want. It doesn't have to be a glitch like that. And then it drops into this. Right? So we kind of have 2 different sections, the short and the long parts, right? So arrangement is key in this beat and beats I make in general. I've been recently making a lot of hyperpop type stuff, so I'm gonna show you the arrangement in that and show you how it differs from the average beat that you do. Oh, this also ties into my next point. Using different genres can give you different techniques. That was an R&B beat, but I like some glitchy stuff in it, right? I've learned a lot of that from hyperpop. The plugin Shaperbox is a plugin I've been using a lot more frequently, and it's something I've learned from making hyperpop type beats. It just glitches stuff and it makes it really cool. There are different techniques that you learn in making these different genres that can help you make your music better in general. This is the beat I have, right? We just have this guitar loop for the intro. Again, we use a transition sound to make it transition better to this, because if we didn't have the transition sound, kind of an abrupt change, so we bring in this. change it up a little bit. Because after 16 bars of this, it can get a little boring. So you need to change it up. I should have probably changed it up after 8 bars. Maybe like take out this thing. Right? And then bring it in. But we also bring in the clav, so it is changing it up a little bit. Then here we... Right? We change up the pattern a little bit. Make it build up. You're like, oh, where's this going? Same thing here. This shaper box effect starts coming in. Again, automation, helping it build up, right? You're like, what's coming? What's about to come? Pause. Then this whole section with a different bass. You're like, oh, this is fire. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know why I added the Discord sound. I do know why. I was making this beat in a Discord server with my friends, and someone joined the Discord call right when that happened. I was like, yo, that sounded so sick. So I added it in. As you can see, using automation and different stuff to help the arrangement, we make this glitchy part built in. Because if we just had this drop right away, it's kind of out of the blue. Right? That sounds boring. That sounds boring. Back to the automation, another thing, you can utilize this in a whole different way, especially for drops. I have this KHS frequency shifter. I'm pretty sure this plugin is free. I put it on the master, but right before this drops, we bring this all the way down with automation. Kind of makes the frequency of everything dip down without making the pitch go down. So it's a really cool effect. Utilizing different effects and automating them can just give a whole different vibe to your beat, right? Especially for hyperpop stuff, I automated these little drops. Right? Right? Little stuff like that. Okay, this is one I'm still trying to learn, but this is mixing. Making your beats just sound crisp can level it up a lot. I can make the same beat, not mix it, and mix it really well, and they will sound completely different. Let me see if I could even test this. Let's get a piano. And we'll play some chords. Right? And now let's add a little bass. And then we'll also get some strings. This is kind of like some Tyler the Creator type stuff, I would say. And we'll get one more sound. Let's get a bell from this Tyler the Creator drum kit. So we have a decent beat so far. It sounded decent, right? But if we put these all into the thing, you can do that by selecting these and pressing Command Alt. We'll put them all into their own mixer track, right? This has some unnecessary low end that's just take you out of space. Same with the violin, cut out some of the low end. I think the violin could even be a little higher. This is way too loud, so we'll turn that down. Maybe add some reverb to the piano. And to this too. And that's pretty good. Like, listen, before mixing, after a little bit of mixing. It just makes it a whole world of difference. Okay, so the last tip, I think it was 10. Yeah, I'll put 10 in the title anyways, is teaching music production. Not everybody has to do this, but I think if you're able to teach something, it helps you learn it a lot better. I think that's what has helped me progress in my music production the most. YouTube, I do that. I also do one-on-one Zoom classes. I've taught some of my friends even how to produce music. So teaching music production is, I think, the best way to learn. No matter what skill level you are, teaching someone else a topic, you will get better at it because you are explaining it to someone and kind of explaining it to yourself too. When I'm explaining these, I don't really write a script. I just wrote the 9 things. I knew this was 9 the whole time. I knew the 9 things that basically help me progress as a music production, right? That's all I wrote. Now I know even better that, cut out the low frequencies of a piano to make it not clash with the bass. I don't do that on all of my beats, but now that I've said it, it's gonna hold me more accountable to doing it more. And I'm gonna remember, oh yeah, I said to do that. Let me do that.
Last tip from editor Selah, because the title would look better with 10. Have fun making beats.
Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the first video of the year, right? It's a little different, talking head, me teaching you some stuff. No matter what level you are, beginner, intermediate, or advanced, you can always learn some stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like if this helped you. Comment what types of stuff you want to see next. And let me know, did these help you in any way? Was there something you didn't know in here that you're like, oh, that was cool, thank you, Selah, you're the best. Join my Patreon because that will help you level up your music production even more. I have some advice, a little 30-minute Zoom call where you can do advice on your beats. And the 2 projects that I played in this video, like the FLPs, will be in the thing so you can dissect them even more, see the crazy automation that I did. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed and have a blessed day. Peace. Happy New Year.